Well, after India Today exposed how a man named in the BJP skilled workers list was actually a lie, now Congress leader Shashi Tharoor has hit out at the BJP. He said, and I quote him here, "It is very insidious. Karnataka's citizens have to be very careful about what they read, and when Prime Minister himself is a purveyor of fake news, then what hope is there for others?" Unquote.
In the steady stream of VVIP campaigners here in Karnataka in the final stretch, the latest entrance is Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Member of Parliament from neighbouring Kerala. Dr. Tharoor, I feel compelled to ask this question right at the start. Your Twitter royalty, and one of the defining things about this election has been this Sten gun exchange on Twitter and on Facebook, on social media. What are you making? Are you standing back and chuckling about it? What's your reaction to this? Because Siddaramaiah appears to be reacting to every single thing that the BJP says.
Well, I think he's doing a great job, or his team is doing a very good job with him. He's a busy man as Chief Minister, but he's basically conveying to the people that no issue is too small for him and that he cares about the things they care about. And he's also telling the BJP, we're not giving you a free ride. You see, why take pot shots at us without getting your own back? So I think the Congress is demonstrating now that the days when the BJP had a completely free run of the social media environment are over. We're giving as good as we get, and sometimes we're doing better.
As a man from the south, how are you looking at Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi, if I may label both of them as the North Indian imports, squabbling over Kannada and pronunciations and Vishweshwaraya and Basavanna and things like that? Man from the south, so how are you reacting to that?
Well, I can say Vishweshwaraya without too many difficulties, but that's not the point. Yeah. The point is these are marginal considerations. Honestly, I think it's unseemly for the Prime Minister of India to poke fun at somebody's pronunciation of a name. I don't think he's got every name he's pronounced correct from what I remember of speeches of his that I've watched. And, it's too trivial a matter. Let's talk about the real issues that affect the lives of people. And to my mind, as far as our record in Karnataka, having led the government for the last 5 years, is concerned, it's actually been very impressive. This is a government that has managed to fulfill pretty much everything it promised to do. There's a 95% track record on its campaign manifesto promises, and another 5% are in process, which is a downside better than what we've seen in Delhi, where the BJP has not fulfilled a single one of its promises, has broken every key promise, and the only things it's actually fulfilled are things it opposed because they've been initiated by the UPA and it had opposed them. So in those circumstances, there's a substantive track record. No wonder Mr. Modi would rather poke fun at pronunciation, because he's got no substance to talk about. On substance, the Congress government is running on a solid record.
Is this one of the, you've campaigned before, you've fought elections before, you know what it's like to be in an election campaign. Is this one of the most ferocious, vicious elections at every level, on the ground, online, in every aspect that you've ever seen? Because many people think it is.
No, online, yes, people think it is. On the ground, I haven't seen enough of Karnataka in other parts to give you an overall judgment. But let me say that whether it's ferociously fought or not, the issues could not be more important. Because honestly, right now, the momentum is with the opposition nationally. Gujarat close result, Rajasthan by-elections, UP by-elections, Madhya Pradesh by-elections. If in Karnataka the opposition, namely the Congress, prevail, we are looking at a pretty tough time for the BJP, which are going to be on the defensive. They're going to have to face a reckoning for their failures and mismanagement over the last 4.5 years. If, on the other hand, they manage to arrest the momentum, the wound to India's soul that has been caused by the forces they have unleashed in the last 4 years will not be healed. And what frightens me is that some of the very freedoms that people have long taken for granted are under threat by people who feel they have been empowered by the BJP being in power. Unless a clear message goes to the BJP that this kind of encroachment on our freedoms is not welcome, that we want a country where we can choose what to wear, what to eat, what language to speak, where to go out, whether to go out alone, who to love, who to marry. If those freedoms are going to be up for grabs because the BJP is empowering the forces of intolerance that would curb those freedoms, then this election is one in which we can send an unambiguous message to Delhi, to the BJP and to the rest of India The people of Karnataka will not stand for it. We value our freedoms and we're going to fight to preserve them.
In terms
That's
of
why this election is so good.
in terms of communal polarization, Dr. Tharoor, the allegations have flown both ways. The Congress has accused the BJP of stirring tensions in many parts of the state. The BJP has accused the Congress of siding with so-called jihadi elements in the state. It's become a jihadis versus Hindus, Tipu versus Hanuman, that kind of narrative.
Look, this is extremely, extremely silly. It is another indication of how desperate the BJP are, that instead of discussing the issues that really matter in people's lives, they have chosen to make communal politics the yardstick. As far as the Congress party is concerned, everyone is equal. We believe that community identity, who you worship, how you worship, where you worship, whether you worship, is up to you. It's not the business of the state. As far as we're concerned, we don't judge you because of your form of worship and your religion. As far as the BJP is concerned, that seems to be the only thing that matters. That only certain kinds of people are welcome to them. I'm sorry, we will not buy into their logic and we will not buy into their game of making it all about that. We don't believe that this country's greatness is going to be built on demonizing others and knocking others down and insulting and humiliating others. That's not India. India is going to be built when everyone who's in India feels equally empowered, equally in a position to gain, to grow, and to flourish. Let's all dream the same dreams together. Let's not have enough. Let's not have any more of these nightmares.
Two small final questions on the fake news issue. That's been another thing that's been majorly in the spotlight, especially here in Karnataka. There have been, I just wanted to ask you this in a little bit more detail. There was a BJP MP who put out a list of persons who, were political martyrs, killed for political motivations. One of those persons turned out to be alive. Weaponized information being used in the campaign. What do you think? Has it had an insidious effect?
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that unfortunately, we've got to a stage where, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed, and if you watch the news, you're misinformed. That's what's happening right now with the uncritical way in which many of you in the media report false claims without verifying it yourselves. So I would ask the media friends to join us and join those who want to strengthen our democracy by running more fact-checking exercises before you give airtime to the irresponsible claims of people, particularly, I'm sorry to say, from the ruling party. We've seen claims being made by the Prime Minister in this campaign, which were completely wrong and which were easily verifiably wrong. 2 clicks of a mouse on Google, and you could have demonstrated that Mr. Timaya, General Timaya, was not the Army Chief in 48, the Krishna Menon was not the Defense Minister in 48, etc., etc. These are things that could have been dealt with and laid to rest, instead of which the media relishes, it seems, the storm that's created when fake news is reported. Politicians, unfortunately, are sometimes irresponsible. I urge the media to be better than these politicians, to do some fact checks and tell the public, we have to report this because you said it, but in fact it's wrong, or just not to report it at all because it isn't news if it isn't true.
One final question, Dr. Tharoor. The Congress has in the past, in other campaigns, been accused of not having the stomach for a fight. The Karnataka election has changed that perception completely. The energy is visible to your detractors especially. What would you put this down to? Is this because this is an important election, an indispensable election for Rahul Gandhi going into 2019? The same can, of course, be said for Prime Minister Modi as well. But is that what this energy is about?
No, I think the stakes are very high. There's no question about it. Right now, the momentum is with the opposition after Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, UP, etc. And Karnataka will simply help us to drive home the message that this government's way of doing business, which means unleashing forces of intolerance, mismanaging the economy, failing to fulfill their promises, failing to represent all Indians equally, that way is no longer acceptable to the Indian public. So it's important for us for that reason. For them, they want to be able to break the opposition's momentum. They want to be able to say, no, it's business as usual, see, we're back in power, whatever, whatever. And we have to make sure that the people of Karnataka are aware of how high the stakes are before they cast their ballot on the 12th of May. For us, this is an election that's important for the future of our country. In many ways, the battle right now, this year and next year, is a battle for the soul of India. We believe that the soul of India is in danger and needs to be protected.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. With camera person Manju in Bengaluru, Shiv Arur for India Today.
Consulting editor Shiv Arur now joins me live. Shiv, the big question really is how is the Congress going to take this controversy forward? India Today has exposed how what they called was a political martyr, the man in question, Ashok Pujari, is well and alive today.
Well, as part of the, the ongoing social media machinery
Yes.
that flies between both sides, and it's been very, very visible to us here on the ground in Karnataka, Vedika, they plan to fly with it, to put it very simply. You can bet that on social media, on WhatsApp especially, in the news. I asked Dr. Shashi Tharoor about that issue as well. He did say that it had an insidious effect in many parts of Karnataka. And remember, the dangerous thing about what's going on, Vedika, is that a lot of people don't have very much control over the information they receive. 170 out
Yes.
of 224 seats in this state that are up for election in a few days from now are apparently influenceable by WhatsApp and social media. So information of this kind,
All right.
lists of political martyrs, things of that nature have had an apparently pretty far-reaching effect. So you can expect this to be a big issue between both parties.
Shiv Arur, thanks for joining us live with that exclusive interview with Shashi Tharoor. Coming in hours after 3 terrorists were neutralized in Srinagar. During that encounter, stone pelting has now been reported from across the city. 4 CRPF Jawans have suffered severe injuries. Around 1,500 stone pelters reported from several areas. Shuja Ul Haq now joins on the phone line. Shuja, this comes just days after we saw children, school students also being attacked by the stone pelters, and the whole debate raging over amnesty.
Today what happened was that early in the morning we got to know about an encounter raging on in an old city of Srinagar. While the encounter was on, from various places continuously there were news reports of people coming out and clashing with the security forces in old city areas. In one of the incidents, in fact, a stone pelter was also killed when he was hit by a police van.
Yes.
Now a video of that also has gone viral, in which one can very clearly see that while he was pelting stones, there's a policeman which comes from behind and runs him down. Now the police is taking cognizance of it. They're saying that they will investigate the matter and take it to the logical conclusion. But even as we speak, a lot of stone pelting reports are coming in from across the Srinagar city's old city area, and police and the paramilitary forces are doing their best to control the situation.
Right, Shuja, thanks for that update.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.